Last Friday, Mark Carney, the Governor of the Bank of England, gave a speech at the Jackson Hole Symposium, an annual conference held in the US for central bankers, finance ministers, and academics. His talk was called The Growing Challenges for Monetary Policy in the Current International Monetary and Financial System, and he advocates for exploring a central bank version of Facebook's Libra. The speech is 23 pages long, but I've read it for you, and here are my takeaways. There are three big ideas. First, there is a large and growing imbalance between the increasing dominance of the US dollar versus the decreasing importance of the US economy. Second, the existing international monetary and financial system is becoming unfit for purpose. And finally, he proposes the idea of a new global digital currency, essentially a central bank-led Libra. Let's break these ideas down. The imbalance between the dominance of the US and the dollar. The US has a 10% share of world trade and accounts for 15% of global GDP. Yet half of international trade invoices are in US dollars, and a full 2/3 of emerging market external debt, central bank FX reserves, and securities issuance globally are US dollar denominated. That's 15% versus 66%. The dollar has become too big for its boots. The deficiencies of the existing system. Because of US dollar dominance, the US's problems, trade wars, politics, uncertainties, tweets, has become the world's problems. Outside of the US, monetary policy is becoming less effective. And as money can move faster around the world, changes to the dollar impacts movements in and out of emerging market economies, making crises happen more easily through no fault of their own. So, what about the idea of a global currency created by multiple central banks? Well, today's system won't hold. The Chinese renminbi is the most likely candidate to take over the dollar as the world's reserve currency. China is already the world's leading trading nation, overtaking the US at the start of the decade. But a shift from dollars to renminbi as the world's reserve currency would be disruptive or require disruption. The last shift from sterling to US dollars was prompted by the First World War and led to a difficult interwar period. Carney suggests that the best solution may be to shift to a new multipolar system. While Facebook's Libra is a private sector virtual currency, Carney advocates for research into a public sector global currency. He calls it a synthetic hegemonic currency. Synthetic, man-made, hegemonic, top dog currency. The focus of it should be a means of international payment. The unit of account and store of wealth can come later. The advantages are currency diversification and a wider range of low-risk, safe assets, reduce spillover effects from one country to the next, decoupling the tight connection between trade and financial cycles, and reduced investment volatility for emerging market economies, hopefully leading to fewer crises. But the US might not like this. Such a currency could reduce the influence of the dollar on global trade and on credit markets, but this may be necessary for the rest of the world to gain benefits. In the long term, a multipolar world cannot work well with a single dominant currency. So how does this relate to Libra? Currently, it's uncertain whether Libra will launch at all in its current form. A multipolar state-sponsored version would be much more credible than a private sector digital currency, though with different challenges. At R3, we're monitoring these developments closely as we see opportunities for distributed ledgers in the next generation of monetary systems.